And maybe sometimes I wonder whether or not that doesn't create a little bit of tension for the child, pressure probably if you're a family, you know.
Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
Oh, we're here with the world famous in Papamoa, Miriam Collins. Mrs. Collins, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Some background for us, we're at Tahatai Primary School. Our baby daughter, Frankie, started her school journey with you. She was very sad to leave Mrs. Collins' class. I remember coming back around for Mrs. T when we went to meet Mrs. T. She did not say a word to Gemma, and she was very upset about leaving your class, but I know Courtney and I are very grateful for the start you gave Frankie, because she's really thriving in Tahatai and her now with Mrs. Pello. And we do bring that back to the love and care you gave her at that time.
Thank you. It was pretty easy to love Frankie.
Yeah, oh, Frankie. This is a cool opportunity for us to really look into a high-performing school in Tahatai Primary School, and I'm not just saying that because our kids go here. I think the evidence is pretty clear about what's going on, but we want to make sure that we can give whānau the best opportunity to understand where they're going to land, where their children are going to land with you in Te Aihe and at Tahatai, and just about what your program's about. So, do you want to just have a quick chat first about Te Aihe and what you guys get up to?
Yeah, sure. So, I am Mrs. Collins, but the parents call me Miriam, so that's important that they know I'm a real person too. So, I guess probably about 4 years ago, we realised that we were putting children under pressure when they started school by expecting them to just launch straight into intensive reading, writing and maths. We decided that we would take a much gentler approach. I had been working in the classroom with lots of students who were finding learning difficult. So we decided we need a framework, to look for a framework that would bridge between Te Whariki or early childhood centres and the school curriculum. So that's sort of the basis for what has happened. So we were lucky to find a Ready for Learning framework that focuses on those early skills before they actually start the more formal learning. So that's that part of it. But also every single child has the same constant. They start with me, so that can look like 140 children that I might teach in a year. But that's my absolute joy, and I want families to know that we love those children incredibly when they come. That's part of the job, and to snuggle them in, make them think that they're brave and that they can do anything. And from that, they blossom. They can be with me from, perhaps around about the 10-week mark, and then they move off and I teach the next group of children that are sort of coming in.
Frankie did a bit longer than that, I think.
I might have wanted you to snuggle in for a little bit longer, but it's around about the 10 weeks just because it's a numbers game too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I loved there, so just breaking apart some of the kōrero there. The first thing is the bridge in from Te Whariki into which is a NZC, is another curriculum. There are parallels in there, but also there are stark differences to what the expectation is in that space. That decision that you guys made, was it driven by your gut? Was it just what drove that decision in that space?
After about 3 weeks, we would find that children would get a little bit sad, and I would say, why are you sad? Got lots of student voice, which is delightful when they're 5. The student voice is quite a treat. But they could be very articulate about the fact that they missed their daycare or the ECE that they'd come from, that they missed some of their friends. And so I said to them, what is it that you miss? They missed playing. They missed going out in the van. But what they were really, I think, trying to say to me was that the pressure that they were starting to feel pretty quickly was too much for them. And so once you know that the kids aren't happy, you have to fix it, right? So that for me was a no-brainer, because I've been a deputy principal and mostly involved in pastoral care, and also a SENCO, a special education coordinator. You kind of knew that there might be some need there that wasn't being met.
Well, kudos to the board and obviously Matt Skilton.
Yeah, so lucky.
I think that's what is lacking in education. Sometimes is people being brave enough to look at actually what's going on,
Yeah, for sure.
and not just what a government's mandating. Because we were concerned about Frankie personally. We were worried because she just loved being where Marla was just ready to go.
Yeah.
Frankie didn't exhibit those signs, and the reason I relay my own personal experience is because it wasn't that long ago where Frankie showed up pretty shy about what was going on, but then she's just loved school. Those signs. Is there more? Is it an agenda space? Are you finding more boys in that space or girls? Or is it 50-50?
No,
It's just
it varies. Sometimes it can be boy heavy, sometimes it can be girl heavy, sometimes it can be even. It just is what it is. But I think probably it's just that they all come in. There's lots of talk about school in homes. People say, oh, you're starting school soon. And maybe sometimes I wonder whether or not that doesn't create a little bit of tension for the child, pressure probably if you're a family, and you start to think, oh gosh, we've got to get these kids ready. And I think if they can come into a space where it is just quite, I like it to be peaceful, but they can come in and we're meeting needs, and there's a skill base that's required around seeing what children might need. They're all individuals, just like big people. And so that's part of what I do, is make sure that they're all growing new friendships, because we can have children from 42 different ECEs arrive. So I guess in that time that they're with me, I'm building new relationships, making sure that they're connecting, that they're feeling like that they can do things. And so we pitch that learning at a level that is sort of those foundation skills. So the pressure's not as hard as it was. We've discovered that 70% of children can't tell the difference between horizontal and vertical lines. Well, prior to what we did, the first word we ever got them to write was I, and they just couldn't do that. So you would wonder why they would be turning the paper. We would wonder why they couldn't write that word the next day. And now we realise they probably couldn't see. So it's just about getting to know the children, and that time that they have with me, that's a really significant part of my job. Sometimes we find children connect more with me than they do with their peers, and so they stay with me for a little bit longer, which I love because it means we can snuggle in together. But it's just about knowing the individual and being able to manoeuvre things around. Before that, a group of 20 would arrive and they would just all be in the same class, whereas now we have the ability to manoeuvre things. So we've got the group that work best or are happiest together.
So just a typical day, because it's a good segue in, because you're talking about snuggling in and things. So a typical day, little Ray's starting with you on Monday.
Yeah.
What does that look like for me and for mum and dad?
Sure. So Ray's already had 2 visits, and we make sure that that's really encompassing. So I'd spend part of that visit just working with the children, and then I spend part of that visit talking to the parents. So we're giving lots of information, but we also give that in bite-sized bits. So 2 visits, I repeat the story to the parents so they feel like that they understand what's happening. Then Ray arrives, he's already got his picture on the wall, so he feels like he's part of what we do, and I will do my very best to remember Ray's name, but if I don't, I'll call him darling anyway, so either which way he still feels like he's special to me. And then we just make sure that you're comfortable, you'll come in, you'll play, and then just continual talking. I'm talking all the time to make sure that they know there are no surprises. It's just a gentle way, and then we just manoeuvre them around in their spaces. They get an opportunity to play, they get time to work with me, and it's just that slow squeeze into school life, I guess.
It does sound it's not real hurried,
No.
because I know Yeah, I guess the benefits I have of experience is I taught it. My first new entrant class was 32 kids.
Yeah, for sure.
That was my first ever teaching class.
Yeah.
And it was rushed.
Yeah.
It was fast. It was like, right, reading in the morning, then writing groups.
That's
then,
right.
And you're like,
Pressure all the
quickly
time.
get,
Yes.
it felt like a test.
Yeah.
And I was lucky we had a very great junior, my AT at the time, Jan Whaley, but we started asking questions like, okay, why are boys switching off writing so fast? Why are we, those sorts of scenarios? But it was a very rushed situation.
And what about all of those children that didn't get it?
Yeah.
And so that's where I felt like, and so those, in a class of 20, there might have been 5 or 6 who found the learning easy, and then you looked at the 15 that were really wide-eyed, and you just thought, gosh, but I've got to crack on, because that's... So I guess we sing, it's all learning, it's all, even the play is really carefully thought of. It's not just random. And if you've come from an ECE where you're interested in arriving and running outside and playing outside all day, well, school must be quite a shock when you can't do that. So that's even the very first thing is like, oh, you can't go outside, and they think, oh no. So it's just making them feel like they're comfortable, the things that we get them to do they can achieve, and we keep on supporting them so that if they don't get it the first time, they can have another go. But it's just, I feel like when they leave me, they square their shoulders off and they believe they can do anything. And I guess if you've done that for a child when they start school, well, I can learn anything. And so I guess that's part of the success of it.
Yes. And so because it sounds, we're not saying that Miriam's just teaching 140 kids by herself. You've got quite a team, and there's when you're talking about, you keep using the word manoeuvring in that space. What does that look like for a support piece and some of those in your day to day? Because you've obviously got to do some level of testing at some points.
Sure. So I have another person, Kerry Hardesty, and we will often say we're 2 bodies and 1 brain because we are kind of really similar. And so she does my release when I'm not there, but it is really seamless. And she just continues on the same way. She does, because we have different days for different parts of Ready for Learning. So she does the moving day. So on that day, she takes the children out and they go biking, and they climb and get all their gross and fine motor skills sort of looked at, although we do that through other parts of the week as well. So it's just making sure that you've got the right people, and so if I'm ever needing to be away for anything, Kerry just steps in, so there are not a load of different teachers that they've got. And then once it's time for them to move, we're really, really careful about that transition process. So we invite our families to come in for a night meeting. We get, without fail, actually 100% attendance, so the parents will get to know the other parents, and we talk to them about what that next more formal learning starts to look like. Then we spend a week transitioning with the new teacher. The new teacher's been with me, so they get to know that person. I step back, which is a little bit hard because I miss them, but get the new teacher coming alongside. They teach with me, then they take that class into the new space, and we start again.
Interesting. I think you've missed quite a critical part too, is that you guys come and visit us.
Oh yes, Kirsten does a great job of that, or sometimes I get to come.
Yeah, Kirsten, I think that's probably, we've seen a huge uptake in that space in terms of obviously you coming in, the team coming in and seeing the child in their space as well, because it's crazily fun to see them share what's important to them.
Yes, and we know this. Like if they come, Kirsten goes into where they feel safe and secure, and no matter what we bring, Kirsten has created an amazing little booklet, and she sits there side by side, and they look at the book, and it's always got their name on the front, so that's really nicely personalised. But it doesn't matter what the children might notice, or do you like playing the sandpit? Wow, can't wait to see what the sandpit's like at Tahatai. So we're always making connections so that they just, I don't know, they feel like this is just the next exciting thing to do.
Yes, I think that's part of that piece of the transition is quite critical element to, obviously me, I guess I'm old school now, aren't I? Thinking about what we did in the past where you just kind of waited for the kids to turn it from kindy and ECE to actually, I'm going to go down and meet with the, and we've gone through a practice of sending our teaching team down with the kids.
Yeah.
Like that's been a major part to our adjustment in this space to ensure the transition has a higher probability of success for the child.
That's right, and we share like valuable things about each little person, so that we're ready with open arms for whoever it is that we get, because like you've done such a good job of supporting that as well. So it's awesome.
And that after that 10-week, we're talking about that 10-week time period as a maximum. So they go off potentially in with another teacher and
That's right. That teacher starts with me. We do that bit of teaching together, so that's part of it. So it's not a sudden shock. The children have got used to being with Mr. Ray.
Yep.
And so then you take them off to their new space, and they continue doing a little bit of ready for learning. So they still keep the same morning songs are the same to begin with, so it's not a terrible surprise. So they feel comfortable where they move off to, and then that's how that rolls out.
So consistency is a real key.
Totally.
You've talked about it like with the Mrs. Hardesty and and obviously the consistency of the music and routine and all that consistency really matters. What are some tips we can offer whānau in this space when? Well, the first thing I'm going to say it again, I always say this, is enrol your child. If you know that they're coming to the school,
that would be great.
Please enrol them.
Yeah.
Because it allows the school to plan. So that's me telling you to get out and get your enrolment sorted. It's not that hard. So,
that's a really, if we could have them enrolled at least 6 months before we kind of say that would be fantastic. Our new Tahatai website's just recently in the last few days gone live, so there's enrolment forms on there. You have to be in zone, but that's sort of the same for everywhere along Papamoa now. But and that early enrolment enables us to sort of predict for staffing and things, which is really important.
Yes.
And so,
so what are some other tips that you can offer for whānau just in this lead into coming into Tahatai and Te Aihe and what's going on in there?
So my first thing I'll say is please don't worry, because we really, really will love your children. So that really matters to us. I think just when you talk about schools, talk about it that they're going to have so much fun, that it's not going to be, anything to be worried about. Mums and dads don't need to worry either. That their children will be successful, whatever that might look like, and
in relation to themselves.
And just we're not comparing children in the same way, and as you might remember your school life to be, we're in the business of making it as enjoyable as possible. I guess I think the tips are around independence. I think probably we cover off the rest. But if you can make sure that your child is able to take their jersey on and off, those toileting things that we talk about, it's all of those little independent things that we find probably you can help at home. Pencil grip, all of those sorts of things. We deal with that when they start school.
Again, like we started, we'll finish in the way we really are massively appreciative for the program and love and snuggles and that you do for children coming into Te Aihe at Tahatai. Yeah. I know, again, I'm fortunate enough to have worked in in new entrants. I know the massive importance and the make or break that new entrant teachers can have on children and their confidence throughout their school career. I know how important that is, and the power and the damage that can be done if we don't handle that in the right way. So you're an angel, and we are really fortunate to have you in our community. So thank you very much for today. And I'm sure, again, just to reiterate, get online, enroll.
Kirsten will ring you to let you know, to have a chat with you. She'll meet with you if you feel like you need that. Like the communication is key because we care about your little people. So, I mean, that's everything.
Yep,
really.
yep. So reach out, make sure you get in touch, and come and enjoy Mrs. Collins and the Te Aihe crew.
Thank you.
Awesome.